Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I missed you last week. How was it? Fantastic. Much better. Thank you. Oh, good. At least you'll keep coming back when I'm not here. Yeah.
You filled your place tremendously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's sweet. I missed you all. I did miss you all. However, the ladies who were here from Sister Spirit, who's in the house from Sister Spirit? Woohoo! Yeah. Thank you. Little you don't know, but we all transformed. So we're all different people. Good to meet you. So it's a pleasure.
It's okay, we transformed while you were gone.
All right. Everybody transformed. You know, and that's interesting because I love the facts about how we have so many, I don't know, millions or billions of cells in our body, and so many die every day, and then so many ones are renewed, like birthed in our bodies, right? And so your body, different organs, different ways of your cellular structure do it at different time lengths, right? So your bones are slower and your skin is faster. But we have new bodies every 7 years. Every single thing in our body has left, and something new has been born. And so thinking about that I know, it's kind of amazing because it means that we can have healings and renewals. We can even have changes that are beyond our greatest expectations. I had a practitioner in San Jose, and she had taught a class, and she went to the eye doctor, and she was expecting the eye doctor to tell her, well, you know, you're old. She was in her 80s, and she says, and the eye doctor said, I can't believe this, but your eyesight has improved. And she said, of course it has, because that's what happens to me. But, you know, it gives us the possibility and the opportunity to realize that maybe what we think is reality is not necessarily what reality is, because we're invested in what we were taught, but not necessarily what reality really is. So our theme this month is making it real. So we're going to talk about real stuff going on, real things. And my weekly theme is what is reality? So I looked up in Wikipedia, what is reality? And according to Wikipedia, it says, reality is the conjectured state of things as they actually exist, rather than as they may appear or might be imagined. In a wider definition, reality includes everything that is and has been, whether or not it is observable or comprehensible.
Wow.
Right?
That's Wikipedia, huh?
Yeah, Wikipedia. You know, it's an interesting fact that our Encyclopedia Britannica, do you remember, I mean, okay, everybody here remembers that whenever you're in school way a long time ago, early time, and you were taking out the encyclopedia and you were looking up facts. You know, you were actually physically looking at facts. Those encyclopedias were actually less accurate than Wikipedia.
No.
Yes. And the reason why is because Wikipedia has a whole world of people who are making sure and verifying the accuracy of what is being said in there. And you can even see, you can read the citations, and if somebody questions it, you can question Wikipedia. You can actually post a flag in there for this fact to be reviewed by somebody, and there's a whole group of volunteers who actually review facts. They do some research to see how they are. So it's very interesting. Now, it's not 100% accurate because nothing is. Exactly. Things change. And we recognize that whatever we think is reality is always shifting and changing. But there is an ultimate truth underneath it all. There is something that's happening underneath everything that we may not understand, but it is the truth of what really is. And this is what I call God. Or I'll call it the thing itself, maybe quantum reality, the quantum field. I might call it love or life. All of these are words for God, and these are the words for what really is versus what we perceive to be. So I've been reading this book. I forgot my book. And my book of the month, which is by Neil Donald Walsh, is A Message from God. You've got me all wrong. And Neil Donald Walsh poses the questions, some what ifs. What if? What if God is not to be feared? What if God does not demand obedience? What if God does not see us as imperfect? What if we are already in a perfect state in our perceived imperfection? What if God does not believe or care if you believe in her or him, whatever you claim it to be, and has no preference in the way you worship? What if God wasn't even on anybody's side? What if there was no judgment day? Now, the majority of the world believes in these tenets. As a matter of fact, our political, social, governmental systems in most of the world's countries are based on these premises. Our whole world is based on how we perceive God to be. And what if God was way different than what we had even imagined? It might change things in our world. And maybe this is our opportunity to do that right here and now. You see, when you walk into centers like this, any New Thought spiritual center, we don't ask you to park your brain at the door. We want you to question everything. I want you to question everything I say. I want you to question everything you think. I want you to question everything your parents told you or society tells you. I want you to question it all. I want you to think about, what if? What if God was all love? What if there was nothing you could do to harm God? There was nothing to be forgiven for. What if you were already loved no matter what? What if, even in our state of war, in our state of tragedy, that God is already invested in everything that's going on, and it's actually part of the evolution of our larger human soul? What if we really are the ones who can make a change in this world? We don't need to rely on God because we are it. All we need to do is tap into the truth of our being to allow it to reveal itself at a deeper level. I often think, I remember when I was 14 and I left the Christian church that I was going to. And the reason why I left the Christian church that I was going to was because I was not invested in hell. And I wouldn't believe in hell. I'm like, how can you say God is love and then how can you say there's a hell? Like, those two things do not equate in my mind. They don't. What I do think can happen is that we can create our own hell. We can create inside our own hell. And we can also treat people unkindly, which is our own hell, because whatever I'm doing to Kathy, I'm doing to myself. So I'm creating a sense of hell in that sense. Or I could be creating a sense of heaven in that sense too. So always, choose. Yeah, choose. I choose love. Love is the answer to everything. And it's also sometimes the hardest choice. How do you choose love? When somebody keeps killing your family, or there's some severe racism going on. Now this is a time, it's a very big time. Oh my God, this week, I'm like, oh, making it real. It's really easy for me to do this talk this week because we had the Baltimore riots happening. Interestingly enough, though, so there was a African-American man who was killed by, they don't know. Maybe by a police officer, maybe it was not. They don't know, but regardless of what happened, it's one of many. I mean, something happened in Ferguson, something happened somewhere else. And so what's really happening here is a recognition that there's something wrong in our society about what we are stating we are in our actions. So we're stating that we are claiming each person as an equal, and yet we're recognizing that people are not being treated equally. And so there's some big unrest going on. There was a letter, an open letter that came from Dr. Ken Gordon out to our organization. And he, I'm going to just read part of it to you, addressing what's going on right now in Baltimore. And he said, on Tuesday, April 26, President Barack Obama addressed America and once again brought to light the underlying issues that have sparked unrest and riots in Baltimore. We were all reminded that it's time for society to ask, what can we do to change those communities, to help lift up those communities and give those kids opportunities? Until then, we're not going to address the underlying issues. We must address the cause to make lasting change, not the effect. The current actions in Baltimore are continuing to uncover the layers of pain, neglect, and oppression still felt in America by our black sisters and black brothers. Baltimore is far from the only place where these underlying issues in our race relations have been neglected or ignored. The President's address resonates with our vision at Centers for Spiritual Living, a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of political, corporate, academic, and social sectors. Unfortunately, our society seems to continue to focus on the differences in people, which correspondingly causes us to fear each other. We continue to vilify and demonize others for expressing their pain and sense of oppression. Every spiritual teacher and tradition reminds us that we have responsibility towards the oppressed, the poor, the unfortunate, the sick, the lame, the elderly, and our children. So this is a big wake-up call that's happening. It's a wake-up call to us, and it's a wake-up call to our society. It's a wake-up call to recognize that there's been something happening where we haven't been treating each other like we deserve to be treated. I want to invite you to think about, what if each and every person before you was absolutely the most holiest person you've ever met? What if they've forgotten? I mean, how would you treat Jesus or Buddha? What if they were undercover? Undercover Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad? What if they were undercover and they were in each and every one of us? How would you treat them? Having a bad day or forgetting who they are? This is our time to step into that opportunity. This is our time to wake up to a new sense of being. That's why we're choosing to make it real here. Because there's stuff really happening that is not pretty around our world. And instead of using this as an opportunity to again say, other people are doing this or other people are doing that, this is an opportunity for us to look within and say, what can I do? How can I be? What difference can I make in this world? Something else really tragic happened. There was an earthquake in Nepal. I'm sure you all know, a 7.9 earthquake. Reverend Jay Lang's son was in Kathmandu at the time, and he is alive and he's okay. But unfortunately, thousands and thousands of people are not. And it's a huge tragedy that continues to happen around our world because the world is shifting and moving and changing. We're evolving. The planet's evolving. And tragedy happens. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? So I'm going to offer an opportunity. I'd like you to give your regular contribution to our offering today, but I also would like to invite you, if you haven't yet, contribute an additional check or an additional amount of money and make sure you write on it that it goes to Nepal. And we will, as a center, we will be donating an amount of money to Nepal to help support them in their relief efforts. Because 95% of the people on this planet don't have running water. Well, I would say actually it's 1/3 of the people. 1/3 of the people on this planet don't have running water. Many don't have electricity or a proper sewage system. And we here in America are rich. Even our poor people are rich compared to the rich people in other countries. So our $5 or $10 that we can have here makes a huge difference somewhere else. It makes a really big difference. And that kind of brings me up to our service project this month. 2 years ago, I went to Yalapa, Mexico, with my wife, And we were on a vacation. We were on a week's vacation. It was beautiful. Jalapa is this beautiful beach town in Mexico. You can only get there by boat. There's no cars. You have to get there by boat. They brought everything in to build the houses by boat, and you just walk everywhere. And it's paradise. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we had this lovely condo, and you had to kind of like walk up this hill that's like 3 stories tall and then walk down steps, another 3 stories of steps to get to our condo. And it was really, really wonderful. Except the second day we were there, there was a swarm of ants that walked up our table at a restaurant we were at. It was really, and so immediately we all jumped back, which was really fun. We all jumped back. Gina jumped back, and she fell, and she twisted her ankle. And she ripped a ligament in her ankle. We didn't know that at the time. And so she's like, oh, I'm cool, I'm cool. And she's limping around. And then the next day, she wakes up and there's like a baseball size lump on the side of her ankle. It's huge. And I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. I'm in a different country. You're the one who speaks Spanish. So I decided to go get help because I knew where the clinic was. And I run over to the clinic and I notice that it's closed. So then I'm standing at the clinic and there's townspeople walking by and they're asking me in Spanish, do you need help? And at least I understand Spanish. And I'm like, yes, I need help. What's wrong? And so I try and explain in English, and there's people like, okay, I don't understand the English. So getting groups of people trying to figure out so you can communicate what's going on. And finally, one of them figures out that I need a doctor. And so she brings me to this house. And they knock on the door, and it looks like a 21-year-old kid comes out and says, and I said, oh, I this is what happened. She said, oh, okay. And I said, I need a doctor. And she said, oh, I am the doctor. Okay. Apparently, in Mexico, for the first year of after you've completed medical training, you have to serve for a year in a community that doesn't have traditional medical services. So you volunteer for an internship for a year. So she was a doctor, but this was her service to the community. And then after that, you can be hired in a bigger city where they'll pay you. So we decided to go into the clinic, and she looks in the clinic and she's like, okay, well, we don't have x-rays. I do have an ace bandage, but it was one and it was about this big. And I'm like, well, that's kind of big for an ankle. So she says, well, we can cut it in half. And so she starts looking for scissors. No scissors to be found. She's looking for painkillers. No painkillers to be found. We do find a razor blade. So here we are in the office, and I'm holding the ace bandage, and she's razoring the ace bandage in half. And then we go and we walk over to our condo, and she goes to see Gina, and she says, well, we don't have any facilities. You have to take a boat to Puerto Vallarta if you want to, or you can wait to the end of your vacation and go back to America. And so Gina decides, we put ice on everything and we wrap her up, and Gina decides to wait until she comes back home, where she finds she has a ripped ligament in her ankle. But it dawned on me, I have more at the Walgreens across the street from my house than that entire town had for medical care. The entire town. And I was really upset about this. And I realized I could make a difference. I can do something about this. So I sent a note to my friend who actually lives in Jalapa, and I said, hey, I would like my center to adopt your medical center as a service project. So she sent me a list, and I'll email it out to all of you, of what the needs are for this medical center. But we can have a physical, tangible impact on this medical center in Jalapa. I'm going to be conducting a wedding there next month. And so I will take everything that you donate over to the medical center, take pictures with all the people there, and we will tangibly be making a physical difference on another city in Mexico. See, that's what making it real is about. That's what we're doing. We have a 5-point balanced spiritual practice here. Do you guys know what it is?
Yes.
What is it? What?
Service.
Service, yes. Education, yes. Prayer. That's prayer.
Tithing, circulation.
circulation, meditation. So these are 5 ways that you can make an impact in the community. 5 ways. So you have 5 simple steps you can make an impact in our community. Prayer. If you would every day, now if you're not a prayer, that's okay. I'm going to make this real easy for you. If you would every day imagine, just sit down and imagine light. And imagine the places like Baltimore or Nepal, or you know somebody, a coworker who's having challenge. Just imagine light and love, and imagine them being surrounded by light and love. That can be your prayer. Or if you want to actually physically pray, pray out loud. Find a prayer partner. Say something every day, because that makes a difference. That makes a difference. People feel that. There's been tests, there's been studies. If you have a physical prayer, you will impact things for the better. So prayer is one way you can do it. The second way is meditation. Meditation is an opportunity to be receptive to the divine. So that means taking time and space to clear your head and be a vessel, an opening for revelation. You don't do anything during meditation, you just be in meditation. And so often we're into the doing that we forget to be. So this gives you the spaciousness to be available. And whenever you meditate, inspiration comes, revelation comes, peace and calm comes, and it shifts and changes your body. So again, we are connected to each other. There's no not being connected. We're absolutely connected to each other. And whenever I am calm and at peace and at ease, somebody in Nepal feels it. So shifting yourself to shift the world is another opportunity to do that. Circulation. This is where our opportunity to give money to Nepal, give money to this center so we can continue to support different projects like this that we have going on. That's what circulation is about. It's about circulating what we have in order for the world to have a greater amount of resources. Service. You can step into service in all kinds of ways. We just had an amazing service project, and we helped a woman pack everything so she could have her house painted. All of these people from our center, we had like, what, 7, 8 people from our center, all went to help one person. Can you imagine the impact on her? That 8 people would volunteer their time and energy to help her have a better life. I'm absolutely certain that transforms the world. And education. Education is the 5th way that you can make an impact in the world. Because the more you learn about your spiritual connection to the divine, the more you learn about how you can open yourself up to what that amazing divine holiness that you are, the more you can make a difference in this planet. So I encourage you to sign up to any of the classes we have coming up. I encourage you to sign up to other classes that might give you an opportunity to be available and look within to see what can shift and change within. So these are the ways, 5 simple ways you can make it real on this planet. Make it real in your life and make a difference in the world. I encourage you to do all of these. Because if you do, you might just be buying into the global heart vision. If you do, you might just be buying into an idea that we are in a world that has a generous sharing of resources, where forgiveness is the norm. You might buy into the idea where borders are irrelevant, where we're part of one human family that's stepping in to co-create a new vision for this life, a new vision for humanity. You might just buy into the vision that we're here as a global people with one heart, here to love. Because that's what it all comes down to. Like I said in the beginning, it's all love. So the more you love yourself, the more you love other people, and the more you love those people who are not behaving very nicely towards others, That's how we're going to change this world. And that's how we're going to create a new paradigm for living. And that's the kind of world I want to live in. And I want to do it with all of you because I'm in love with all of you. You're my favorite people in the entire world. So don't tell anybody else, except for the people on camera. You're my favorite people too. But really, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it with all of you. That's what I want to do. So thank you for participating. Thank you for co-creating with me. Thank you for being a part of this magnificent experience called the divine life. It is the one life. And I'm so honored and humbled and proud to be a part of it with you. Namaste.